All right. Good morning, everyone. For us in the USA, it's good evening or good night. It is 9 p.m. here, Central Time. So we are glad to be still awake and talking to you on the other side of the world. Thank you for having us. Last week, we talked about leading with purpose and having a purpose statement. The whole series is about leadership and leading others. But to lead others, you have to first lead yourself. So that's where we're going to focus on today. During the webinar, I will be typing in the chat. So please, if it's okay, answer some questions in the chat. And as Mr. Quito said, the other rules apply to speaking and talking and answering questions. But if you can answer some questions in the chat, maybe that will give everyone a chance to read the questions as we speak. And we'll start off by giving a short presentation, and then we will have a question and answer time. So the quote, as you see on the top of the screen, is first you have to lead yourself before you can lead others. So you have to be able to lead yourself because you want to lead others, but you have to set an example. And so you have to know yourself and be able to lead yourself. So we have 3 points that we're going to cover today. The first point is set goals. Everyone needs to set clear goals, short-term goals, long-term goals, set goals. Number 2 is to build habits, create habits, daily habits that help you get to your goals. So we'll be talking about that today as well. And third is keep growing. Growing is important. Growth is important. Our growth and the people we lead. So this is very important in being able to lead with purpose. So with that, I will hand over number 1 to Mr. Stinnett.
Hi, everyone. I'm Michael Stinnett, and leadership is very important to me. And so if you're going to lead others, you do have to lead yourself. And the first thing when it comes to leading yourself and leading with purpose is to set clear goals. Sometimes we confuse goals as the end target that we're shooting for, but goals are actually there to help us reach our destination. And when we say destination, destination is another word for our purpose, why we are leading, why we are in business, why we are in education, why we are in school. What is our purpose? That's what we want to accomplish. That's our destination. And goals will help us reach our destination. That's why goals are so important. So, what kind of goals should we set, and how should we set them? Well, first, your goals should be directed by your purpose. Because when you know what you want to accomplish, you can set goals. And then know that the goals will establish the direction for your company. And Scott and I were talking about this, and we said, really, it's not just about your company, but goals help establish the direction for your lives. Like when we establish clear goals, they're kind of like guardrails that keep us from going off a road. If we're driving, we need those rails, and that's what goals become. They help us stay focused. And so we want you to set clear goals, and we're going to do that here in a moment. And then there are different levels of goals, and this is really important because sometimes we only think about the goals that are long-term goals way down the road. But we need goals that are 1-week goals, 3-month goals. Like, let's say that I want to be a healthier person. Well, I'm not going to be a healthier person in 1 week, but I can set a 1-week goal to not drink soda for a week, or no carbonated beverages for a week. And then my month goal and my 3-month goal. And so we need to set different levels of goals to reach our destination. And for example, I've never climbed a mountain. Has anyone ever climbed a mountain? Anybody, any mountain climbers in the group?
I believe you
I
have
am.
mountains to the Lacey.
I am.
Uh, I've gone on some very, very small climbs, but if I were to see a mountain back in the distance and I say, "Ooh, I'm going to climb that mountain," and all I ever do is say, "I'm going to climb that mountain. I'm going to climb that mountain," but I don't prepare to climb the mountain, then I will never climb the mountain. And goals are the preparation. So my goal is I'm going to climb that mountain. Well, then I have to take steps. So I'm going to train my body. I'm going to train my mind, because those are going to be how I accomplish my goal and what we do there. So one of the things, if you were to start a mountain climbing business, maybe your purpose would be to inspire people to live with adventure and learn to overcome obstacles. I do like adventure, and I do like overcoming obstacles. So if that's our purpose, that's our destination, well, one of our goals is going to be to climb mountains to inspire people. And then we will plan adventure trips, because those are things that we say matter to us. And I will start by taking people on small trails, small hills, small mountains, and then large mountains, because we're building up toward that big goal, that end point. And I think that's really, really important. As for setting goals, sometimes, and Scott, you can help here maybe, is sometimes we need to start with small goals that we can celebrate when we reach them. Does that make sense?
Yes, so maybe like Mr. Michael is a runner, so he likes to run. So maybe first he starts off with 1 mile and he runs the 1 mile without stopping. And then later he works up to 2 and 3 and 4 or 5 miles. And then he can run a marathon. So
Easy.
small goals lead to bigger goals.
Right. And so just remember, when you're setting goals, that the purpose of your company, the purpose of your life, is what's driving you. And goals are how you make sure that you're staying on the path to that purpose. And that's why they are so important, because our lives are going to be determined by the direction that we are heading. And I hope that makes sense to everyone. So set clear goals, establish a direction for your life, establish a direction for your company, establish a direction for your business, and move that way. So that's setting goals. Do you want to talk about this one? Or is this me again?
Talk about building habits. So habits are usually thought of as daily things you do. For example, every morning I get up very early. I have things that I do in the morning every day, and little by little I get things accomplished. So for me in my life, I have my job in education, I have my family, and then I also am studying for my doctorate. So every day, because I have little kids, I get up early, 4:35 a.m. to do my homework, to study every day, because I have to do something every day, because the big goal of finishing the semester, like for you students, finishing the class, the big goal is to finish, to learn, and to pass. It's also my goal, but you can't do it all in one day or all in 1 week. So you have to do little by little, and those little habits help you reach your goal. So one way to do that is to control your schedule. What do you do every day in your schedule? If you're up for 16 hours, you need to know what I'm doing in the morning time, taking a break, and then afternoon time and evening. So you have to be in control of your schedule so that you're efficient. I've talked about waking up at a regular time, whatever that is for you, whatever works makes you most effective. Maybe that's 7 a.m. every morning. Be productive. Always be working towards your goal, your target, the particular thing you want to get done or to achieve. and know where your energy is. What gives you energy? You can't always give. You also have to find where your energy comes from. So, what things that you do excite you, interest you, something that can give you passion. So, for the professors, maybe they're studying, they're writing research. What research interests you? What can you read and learn to become a better teacher? Um, and then for students, what is that idea that excites you, especially for the entrepreneurship students? What is that business idea that excites you? What are you reading to get better at that? How are you getting better at that? How are you learning more about that? And then resting. We can't always push and give and go all the time. Just like when you're driving your car, you must stop to get gasoline. That's your rest time. You must refill. We must do that with our minds and with our bodies. And then finally, limit your distractions. I will let Mr. Stinnett talk about distractions for a minute.
Is that because I'm very distracted?
He's good at distractions.
Lots of distractions. And the reason that we talk about distractions are because they happen to us. We talked about that last week. We said distractions. Somebody said Netflix was a distraction. And I'm sure no one was distracted by Netflix this week. But we have to know our distractions. Because if we know what our distractions are, then we can limit them. And I want to say this because it probably sounds weird, but set a time for you to work in your distractions. Set a time to watch Netflix. Set a time to be on your phone. Set a time to check your email. Does anyone ever get distracted by emails? Email distracts me. If I hear that notification, I've got to go check it. And so I have to set a time to check my email so that I can limit my distractions and I can be more productive throughout the day. And here's why this is important. If we think about, let's say you're on an airplane and I'm going from Chicago and I'm going to go to Hong Kong. If my plane is 1 degree off the path, I get distracted by just a little bit, I will not wind up in Hong Kong. I might wind up in Australia. I might wind up in somewhere in Siberia or something. I'm not going to go where I want if I don't stay focused and limit my distractions. So build good habits. And let me give you one quote. It's up here at the top. The decisions that we make today determine our direction tomorrow. Because our decisions every day build our habits. Habits are a nation or a culmination of the decisions that we make over and over and over again. And sometimes we make bad decisions over and over and over again. Like when I was a student, I might wait until the day before my paper was due to start working on my paper. And I would do that over and over and over again. And I created a habit of procrastinating and not getting my work done early and efficiently. And so we talked about that. Are there any bad habits out there that we know we've got to break? Anybody want to share one?
Can anyone give an example of a bad habit?
You can answer. Mr. Scott is putting it in the chat box, so you could answer like, what are some bad habits? Or, what are some good habits that you've seen that are working well for you? Maybe you like to exercise regularly, or you like to do like deep breathing meditation exercises regularly. What are the habits that are working, or the ones that are hindering or hurting us? So we have to build habits. And the third thing that we'll talk about is really probably my favorite when we talk about leading ourselves well. Is we have to keep growing. Have you ever heard the phrase that leaders are learners? Leaders are always learning. We are always growing. You can see that the Nelson Mandela quote, I never lose, I either win or I learn. It's important that in everything we do, we are learning, because as we say here, that you can either grow or you can fail. And this is what's tricky, is because sometimes when we succeed, when we prosper, we're doing well, we get blinded and we don't pay attention to the things that are going on around us, and we're not learning, and so somebody else kind of passes us, or we miss an opportunity because we weren't prepared for it, because we weren't learning, because we got comfortable. So we should always be learning, because our future success requires our present growth. We have to always be putting something in. So whether that's like sitting in on a webinar like this, and hopefully you're learning something, or it's tuning into a good podcast, or watching a TED Talk or a YouTube video, reading some good books, or having a mentor, a professor, an advisor, someone that can teach you something. We must be learners so that we can grow. And we can talk about this too, that one of the best things to learn from is from our mistakes. And for me, that's a lot. I make a lot of mistakes, so I have a lot of stuff to learn. But we learn from our mistakes so that we don't keep making the same mistakes over and over and over again. It's, I don't know, does anyone ever make the same mistakes over and over again? You're like, why am I making that mistake again? We want to learn so that we quit making those mistakes. And then this is it's probably not a popular idea, but don't be afraid to fail, because we can learn from failure. We learn from failing so that we'll be ready when success comes. We'll be ready for success, because everything in life presents us a learning opportunity. And so how can we learn from it? What are we taking away from it? And this is what's really neat, everyone, is that when you're leading people, the people that you're going to be leading are also experiencing some of the things that you've already gone through. And if we learn from them, then we can lead them better. So that's why it's so important that as leading ourselves, we have to learn continually. Just be putting stuff in so that it can come out. So always growing. Let me ask that question. How do you learn? Like, who likes to read books or watch videos more?
Do you like to read books more or watch videos more?
Yeah, what do you prefer? What do you prefer to learn? Books or videos or maybe podcasts? Guido, what do you?
I like to watch videos. Yes, more. Video. Yeah. Video.
Does anyone read books, or do the students read e-books or actual paper textbooks?
I'm the visual person, so I choose videos more.
Videos?
I like videos. Now, I need to be honest, I get distracted easily, so I like shorter videos. I need it to be real powerful and quick.
Getting some answers in the chat, and so one person says that for books, I read ebooks mostly. I am starting to read more ebooks than physical books lately. And many people said videos.
I do a lot of audiobooks. They're easy for me while I'm running or driving. I can listen to an audiobook, and that really, really helps. See, I think, so that's the end of the presentation portion of today, where we were talking about leading yourself well so that you can lead others. better. Are there any questions from any of that information?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Speakers. Uh, so the point is, the three simple ways to lead others is you must set goals for the first one, and habits, and keep growing.
Yeah, I think it was. I'm not sure if I say your name correctly. Is it Ryrie?
Yes,
Riri,
Riri, you can say Riri.
Riri.
Yes.
Okay, Riri. I think. Or did you mention that you have to set an example when we first started?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity for me to talk. And I would like to share something that I like reading and watching. And one day I read some quote that talk about what is the secret of success. Because it's a right decision. And then how you make the right decision? Experience, right? And how to get the experience? Wrong decision. So I think it's right. It's right. And then as we want to be a leader, I think not all the people will be agree with us, of course, because why? Because they have a different experience. I think that every experience others have, it can create different mindset of different perspective. So maybe if I have a experience in life different with Alfrina experience in life, it can be a different mindset about both of us. So as a leader, I think he want to know their team, uh, background maybe, because if they know that the others background they life, they can make one purpose. Nah, that's the point that I think, because experience it makes us have a different thinking, different perspective of life. So to be a leader, we will, especially me, I learned too much from Mr. Reiki as our leader now. I think he has a different thinking, so it make me learn too much with him. So yeah, that's the point. I think that's the point, because every experience it create a different perspective. How do you think, Scott and Michael? How do you think?
No, I think that's very true. That experience. I've always heard like experience is the best teacher, and we do gain more experience when we do something wrong, or when we make a mistake, or we fail at something, because we can learn, well, that didn't work, I'm not going to do it that way again. And then we have the experience to also help someone else. Now if I know that that doesn't work and I see Scott doing it, I can be like, hey Scott, that's not going to work, let's find a better way, because I have experience that what you're trying to do is not the best way. And you can lead people and you can lead yourself when we learn from those things. So I think that, Riri, thank you. That's great advice and great teaching.
I also think I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, because in Indonesia people, I think they also make what we say. They want to look others' experience and maybe can, your experience different than me, so your perspective is different than me. It can be something this not really good discuss, I think, because every people in here, what they say, what we say in other language, that we say a comparison between me and you. So how do you can lead me because you don't know me exactly? How you can teach me because you don't know me exactly? You don't know me how it happened with me. So how can you can lead me? Yeah, it's something like that example.
I think one of my goals is to get more experiences. Okay, this is a new experience. When I met Mr. Reki, he was in Japan. Japan, for us, Japanese culture was an experience. I visited him in Indonesia, and that was a new experience. And so all of these experiences help us develop understanding of other people. And so it can help us develop empathy or anything that can help us, like you said, compromise. But if we have enough experiences and we understand another person's perspective, because some shared experience, then maybe we don't just compromise, but maybe we think of something bigger. Maybe we collaborate. Collaboration is important, but it usually can only come if you're dealing with yourself and other people who are welcoming of different experiences, welcoming of different perspectives. So I think it's a really good way to become a good leader, is to find ways to get as many experiences as you can. Have friendships with as many different kinds of people as you can, so that you can learn to grow as a person. If you grow as a person, you'll grow as a leader.
Something that helped me over the last 3 or 4 years is I've been trying to purposefully learn from people that I disagree with, so that I can see what their reasons are for thinking what they think. And it helps me to understand them better, and I value them more. Even if I don't agree with them, at least now I understand them. And that's something that's new for me, because before, if I disagreed with you, I didn't want to talk to you.
I think like Jesus did. He didn't look everyone background. He just said, if you want to follow me, you can follow me, right? Because if you want to look others' background, sometimes we can choose many people. Oh, I just want to I just want to this one, because they have a good background family, background life, background. But I think background is not
Background culture, actually.
Yeah,
So
that's right.
you can see your inner from your inner coming out, and everyone can see your good side, of course, so you can be example. It's the point, like what in the Bible say. Of course, I read too much and I learn too much. Remember, Jesus just have 12 and Hitler had 1 million. But we know who
I'm going to use that.
which one is our leader. We can take a look. Okay, thank you, Michael, and thank you, Scott. That's my opinion, and I can give to others if they want to have a question or have opinion too. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Riri.
Thank you. So, Scott and Michael, so if you wanted to become a great leader, we must become a lifelong learner. Yes, am I right?
You are exactly right.
Yes. Yeah. So we have the ability to see what they see, others see, and the ability to feel what they feel. I use the term empathy. Maybe is it
Yes.
right? Empathy. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's the right term.
Yeah. So how to we develop our empathy? Maybe you have any.
Well, so for me, the easiest way for me to do that is to realize that the other person really does matter. That person is important, and how that person feels is real. And I might not understand it, but if I will listen, if I take the time to listen and try to understand what that person's feeling, then I can perhaps get the opportunity to lead that person. And that's what we're going to talk about next week some, is that if we won't listen to people, and we don't value them, then we can't empathize. We can't feel empathy with them. I don't know if that answers your question or not. But
Okay.
I would like to add, I did a research paper on something like this. It wasn't exactly empathy, but it was called intercultural competence or competency. And the people who were the most empathetic, and culturally competent weren't those that had the most that traveled the most or anything like that. It was those that developed deep friendships with people that were different than them. So anytime you can develop deep friendships with people that believe differently than you or look differently than you, I think that helps you develop empathy, because otherwise you're only talking to people that see things the same way you see, and then you can't expand what you're thinking because you always get the same feedback. But to grow, you need the feedback to be new all the time. So I think that helps to develop empathy, having deep relationships or deep friendships.
So we have
we're talking about that next week. We'll add some on that. Okay.
Okay.
We'll hit that one more. I just want to clarify that what we're saying today is that if you learn to lead yourself well, you will get opportunity to lead others. But if you can't lead yourself well, you're probably not going to be able to lead others either. And so what we're doing in trying to teach, like, how do we lead ourselves? Well, we set clear goals, we build good habits, and then we always grow so that we can be ready when the leadership opportunity comes. I hope that makes sense, because
So you must have the ability to understand yourself first, then the others.
Sometimes I think we understand ourselves best when we're in relationship with others, especially others that are different than us, because we see how we are, we see other perspectives. But definitely, I think it's an issue of integrity. Like, I have to lead myself. I can't just tell others to do it if I'm not willing to.
Okay.
Uh,
In chat we have Primi. Primi have any opinion? Best leaders are those who doesn't immediately place themselves in a pedestal or even put themselves there. Yet they manage themselves well and inspire others that resonates with the examples that leader set.
Yep.
Okay.
He should join us next week right here.
Yeah.
And help teach. It's so good. Good job.
You make the PowerPoint and we'll just talk about it.
Okay, thank you, Primi from Bali. Okay, anyone from participants who wanna ask some questions?
Yeah, I want to ask something.
Okay, Miss Jane Tuilan, Mrs. Jane Tuilan, please.
Hi, Scott. Hi, Michael.
Hello.
Thank you for the opportunity. Actually, I'd like to add something because there are three here you are stated. First goal, build habits, keep growing. And then we are discuss later about culture, right? In Indonesia, there's factors that really important to be a leader. That is a character building. So we are not only our habits, but we should build our character to be a good leader. And we could have why I state like that, because for me, we have the same habits, right? We could have the same goal. We could growing together. But there's one. We have our own character, one another, that make us different with the other leader. For me, this is the first important. How to become a leader. You should understand yourself. You should understand your character, and I will show that to make I different with others. So this is for me is one of the important thing to be um, a good leader. Not only a leader, but a good leader and different with other. Thank you.
Oh,
Okay.
thank you for sharing. You're exactly right. Everyone should take note of that. Character is ultimately what's going to keep us from making poor decisions, making immoral or unethical decisions. Our character is what's going to keep us focused on those goals. Like if we set, like when I say good goals, I mean the right goals. Because we talked about this last week a little bit, where character, having the right character, will help us focus on things that aren't just money. It won't just be about the profits, but it'll be about the difference that we can make. Our purpose will be bigger when our character is one of our focuses. So thank you, Gene. That's brilliant. We never want to overlook character. It's very important.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Speakers. Anyone?
Uh,
All participants? Anyone?